Is it missing something?
Is something missing? That is indeed today's question. Welcome back, friends. So the Farming Simulator 25 trailer released a few days ago. I'm sure probably anybody watching this has already seen it. I will throw a link down in the description just in case you haven't, because I'm not going to show the whole thing. But I did want to take a look at what everyone's kind of thinking so far. I'll say I'm kind of cautiously optimistic. So I've been trying to take a look around and see what other people are thinking, because like I said, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic. I don't really think that it's fantastic or that it means a whole lot, or even that it's terrible or that it means a whole lot. Like I said in my previous video, I really wish they gave FS22 some more time and took some more time to work on 25. I think that the amount of work that they get done on different iterations of the game is not worth bringing them out as quickly as they are. Now, I will say I think part of the reason they bring them out as quickly as they do is they're probably worried that if they let more time go in between, they'll either have players drop off and then not purchase the new version because they quit playing the old one and therefore aren't interested in the new one because they've moved on to something else. Or two, that someone else will pop up and start being competition to them, which is why speculatory wise, why they haven't necessarily tried too hard on things, but who knows. I will say, I wonder if Giants has become more of a marketing company than a game company, just because of the way everything seems to be going and working. Even in the trailer, there's one spot towards the end where they say, "Isn't it good?" Now, that "isn't it good" comment at the end of the trailer makes me think that's almost kind of a subliminal marketing tactic of trying to get you extra hyped for it by saying that, look, the trailer's good, the game's good, things like that. Even though, again, the trailer has nothing to do with the game besides maybe showcasing some things that they said to include. And I've seen this brought up too. If you look at the FS22 trailer, which launches at the start of the game, there was crop destruction from bugs in there. That never made it into the game. So really, the trailer doesn't necessarily mean anything. Now, Giants has confirmed pretty much everything that was in the trailer and say that it's going to be in the game, but we still don't know to what extent. They haven't really spoken on much of anything. We are supposed to get more info come FarmCon, but again, who knows how much they're really going to showcase or let come out, because they have released more to Giants partners, and especially like gold level partners too have gotten more screenshots that we can't get anywhere. Now, if you go watch the farm show from DJ Goham and Clutch Simulations, they do show at least those screenshots, and they talk to someone from Giants that gives a little tiny bit of hints here and there, but really nothing that shows anything major. I'll also say I'm in the camp that as much as I want better graphics in the game, if I could have better gameplay versus the graphics, I would take that all day long. So let's take a look at what other people are saying. I'm going to look at both Reddit and Farm Sim's actual forums. Let's go ahead and start with Farming Simulator forums, because that really should be where we've got the absolute best diehard pro FS22 people, right? So it doesn't really start off at a good start here. Rice DLC, great. Looks nice and they finally remember the rest of the world. Which, I mean, really, rice is like the number one agricultural sailed product in the world if you look at it. So it's not even really remembering the rest of the world, though adding in East Asia will be kind of interesting. But again, it's probably just that they got really good deals from some East Asian companies for putting in their equipment. So what can you say? Interested in seeing what features actually get explained at FarmCom, like elusive ground deformation, aren't we all? Nothing about fixing bugs, nothing about making it more realistic, and nothing about more farming. Well, some of those are kind of given. I mean, the bugs is kind of given. Making it more realistic, again, it's kind of a choice, and it's a matter of if their game keeps selling as well as it does or sells better, they don't need to change much. As long as they keep making money, why do a massive change, I suppose? It works for them. Hope Giants finally fixed the menu button. I don't really know what the issue is on PC with the menu button, but who knows? I'm looking forward to a new game and some new mechanics to explore, new farming concepts and crops types to do in game. Absolutely. Would be nice if they just add all that into FS22 in a DLC. But I mean, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe Rice will kind of go the exact same way that premium expansion went, and it'll be a lot of work for no real payoff. That's somewhere where I think they really need to focus on gameplay mechanics. Is things that take longer should make more money. It may not necessarily be a realism factor, but it's a gameplay factor. If you're going to do something that takes longer to do, takes more work to do in the game, you should make more money on it. The easier stuff you should make less money on. Kind of like the way grass, hay, and silage work, right? It is actually almost a little bit backwards with hay and silage, but grass is the easiest thing to do, so you make the less money on it, and then as you get harder to do it, you make more money on it. But that's where hay being an extra step over silage, really hay should probably outprice silage in game. But I mean, I guess that's again another one of those gameplay issues where maybe they should change things up. Don't really care much for FS25 until all details are out. Sure, the pictures look nice, but the whole farming in Asia rice thing is really putting me off. Personal preference, I'll wait and see what brands and machines will be in game at release, and maybe it's a project for 2025. I mean, it seems like a lot of people even here are not necessarily the happiest. I won't say we're seeing any yet that are really ragging on the game, but nobody's... Well, there we go. I'm stoked already. So I guess we have some. We got some people that absolutely loved it. Hopefully it's not going to be a buggy mess like FS22 was on release, but this is Giant, so I'm not holding my breath. I won't be pre-ordering this one this time around. That's a little bit weird phrasing, but okay. I hope it comes out highly polished and ready to play so I can pick up a few copies around Christmas, but otherwise I'll give it some time to work the bugs out. I mean, that's kind of how most games are anymore. Let's be honest, almost anything launches and there's bugs and issues. They don't necessarily do a ton of time testing and fixing things, especially with how much is in games now. If we compare to, games years and years ago, heck, if we compare it to the original Fallouts, think about how much more code, how much more everything there is in a game now compared to those. I doubt there will be farming in Asia unless Modern makes a map 6 to 12 months. Well, we already know that there's an East Asia map confirmed, which I think gets talked about in here. Yep. Just saw the in-game screenshots. Really hope more info comes out soon, but for me is a big disappointment. Just feels like an update and not a new game. I mean, like I've said, it kind of seems like maybe we should have just had an update. And honestly, if we got any new gameplay mechanics that they're putting into 25 and 22 and kept the graphics the same, would anyone have complained? All right. I'm sold after I watched and read this. That's the Giants news release, I believe. Oh, not even the news release, just their little release picture there. Things I like. 3 maps plus 1x UK map on year 1 expansion. At least we're guessing that's a UK map from the looks of it. USA, Europe, and East Asia maps coming. New crops, rice, and spinach. Which really, we should have had rice in already, being that it is, I think, the top produced agricultural crop in the world. Giants Engine 10, distance, fog, enhanced shadows, dynamic weather effects, ground deformation. Hopefully it'll all be as good as we hope. Things I do not care for. New production change, buffaloes, construction missions. I keep seeing this from people here and there about not liking production chains and things like that. If you don't like it, don't do it. It's another gameplay mechanic. It's at least something else they're adding into the game because, again, they need to add things in between games. Otherwise, why come out with the new game? Things I'm not happy with. In-game graphics, machinery looks same as FS22, but it also looked the same when we first saw FS22 photos. So last big graphical machinery overhaul was FS19. Pre-order not available in your country, so I'm going to wait for Steam version. You know what? Real quick, I'm going to bring something up with that. I looked at pre-orders a little bit as soon as the trailer launched and they said pre-orders were out. It does look like there's different pre-order prices, different places. At least around me, Steam was, I think, $5 cheaper for PC than anywhere else was. I think they were $45 for pre-order. And I think I saw a few other places where it varied in price by at least a few dollars. So if you're pre-ordering, take a look around at what's available where. You might save a little bit of money at least. Season passes are exactly the same. 3 packs of machinery and 1 pack with the map. So 4 packs per year. So need to pay extra for additional DLCs and add-ons. Let's be honest. The Season 1 pack... It's almost that they're just trying to up the price of the game. On FS22, the only DLC pack I think that was really, really that innovative was Platinum. I guess Premium was kind of big as well. It did add a lot. It just, for me, there was no reason to do any of the Premium stuff. I kind of regret buying the Premium DLC. Platinum I still use constantly. And it's honestly the reason I haven't switched to doing FS22 on PC because I don't have Platinum on PC. So, hopefully we'll get more in the DLC for FS25 than we did in 22. But again, it's kind of that same thing of if it's working, they have no need to change it up. If everyone's buying the game, if they're buying the DLCs, if they're making money, why change? I think it looks pretty decent. Graphically, it doesn't hugely reinvent things, at least going from those screenshots, but it does address the harsh lighting of FS19 and 22. I don't think there was over harsh lighting, but okay. Looks a lot softer and pleasant on the eye. Okay. It may well be the trade-off with the graphics is the fact that we're getting deformable terrain finally. I'm happy with that. The art direction looks pleasantly stylized to me. It depends on what we actually see on the deformable terrain, right? Is it going to be terraforming? Is it going to be mud tire tracks? Is it going to be that you get another button to make a rice paddy and they say that's deformable? Who knows? Or that maybe somehow the rice planter just drops it down or something too. Keen to find out about the dynamic weather. Hopefully it's much better than FS22. The screenshots don't reveal much. We hope to get a far greater variety in weather effects. Agreed, and honestly, I hardly see any weather when I'm playing FS22 because it almost seems like weather is supposed to run by the day. If you run longer days, you sometimes see more weather, or run more days, you sometimes see more weather. But when it's, by the month, I think in all the time I've spent playing FS22, I've only actually had snow a few times and never really needed to do anything about the snow because it usually melts within a couple hours. Not at all fussed about farming rice, was never about cotton or grapes either. Guess it helps open new markets, so maybe it makes sense. And I think that might be part of what this is about too, is opening up to more players, which is a big thing Giants has been focused on the past few years if you looked at some of the stuff they've done. The success of 25 for me will come down to whether or not it can bring the modders back who have evidently steadily left the franchise since Heights of 17. The sim is certainly certainly nothing without decent map makers. Yes, but if you really look at the number of mods that have launched, they keep climbing on mods. It isn't climbing as rapidly anymore, but even if some modders have left, I think others are making more mods than they used to, especially with Giants paying out for mods. With what we know so far, I'm more excited about 25 than I was about 22 on launch. Giants do seem to have taken on board the big wish list items. Keen to find out more anyway. I don't know if I'd say that. I think they've taken one on, if that. I think ground deformation has really been asked for, and mud and everything like that, but we still have to see what it actually looks like. Lastly, why do Giants insist on revealing FS via hugely expensive looking pre-rendered trailers, which they have put a disclaimer on saying this is not in-game footage? They have to put that disclaimer on, otherwise it's false advertising. That's the only way gameplay companies get away with cinematic footage trailers like that isn't gameplay, because they have to disclose it's not gameplay, otherwise they're advertising that as their gameplay, and then when it doesn't look like that, they're in for a huge lawsuit. But I agree. I don't think they need to spend money making a CGI trailer when they could just make a trailer out of gameplay footage. Have, even maybe just one or a couple of the top gold partners play the game. They could create a 2-minute clip of various things in the game that people would get way more excited for than they do off of a CGI trailer. Screenshots reveal quite a lot. I'm sure it looks almost the same, better shadows and lighting. Nature looks more real thanks to new Giants Engine 10 features. Clouds. For weather effects, there's mist and fog. Now the visibility features can change a lot, how far you can see, for example. And again, though, it depends on what we really see in final game. Even the gameplay images they've put out, I wouldn't put a ton of stock into, just because stuff could conceivably still change. Now, the fact that pre-orders are already being sold, that means we're probably getting very close to the game is completely done. We've got a few months left, right? Let's see, we're in June, it launches in November. Well, basically we're in July and it launches in November. So, you've only got a couple months to keep working on the game, other than the first patch that comes out with the game, right? Because they've got to get the game shipped and got to get games made up, boxes made up, everything packed, and then shipped out to retailers. And to be honest, I've worked in retail for a long time in my life, and I worked at places that sold games. Pre-orders really should be arriving at the store about a month before the game goes on sale. Sometimes it's a couple weeks. Larger games, it's usually about a month that they'll actually be sitting in store, locked in a back room, not being able to be sold through the system before the pre-order gets picked up, because each store needs to know how many pre-orders they need, plus they need to get in regular stock. So I mean, it's probably going to be at least a month that it has to be shipped out. So you're talking October that it's got to be shipped out by, which means, I mean, you're probably talking at the latest September, start of September, that the game has to be in its finished state that's going on disc. So we only have about 2 months worth of time they can mess with the game anymore. My problems, no matter how much I don't want the new maps or crops or whatever, I'll just buy it anyway. As to whether I play it depends on where I am on any of my FS22 farms at the time. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to take that perspective, I hate that perspective. Sorry, Blue Painted. If you don't like it, if you're unhappy with it, don't buy the game. The only way that any company listens to the consumer is with the power of their wallet. I mean, if you're telling them you don't like the game, but you're going to buy the game, then they don't care. You know, I was taught a long time ago, one of the things you never tell a company too is you never tell them, I was so upset, I'm so fed up, I'm never doing business with you again. Why? Because they no longer care about you. You're not going to get your money back because they have your money and they have no reason to give it back to you. Because you've said, I'm never coming back. So why would they go out of their way to help you if you're never coming back? Now, if you tell them, hey, here's a problem and I'm really disappointed and I know what you can do to fix it, or I need you to do something to fix it, well, then they have a reason to try and get you back. I'm the same, not sure how I feel about the reveal. I've yet to go grapes and have never even considered cotton. I'll get around to the root crops eventually, but rice, not my cup of tea, I think. I think this is more of an evolution than revolution, but I'm curious about the dynamic terrain and it's tempered my expectations because of Giant's habits of doing things, new features half-heartedly. But I'll know I'll end up buying it at or before launch anyways. Again, I mean, if you're happy playing FS22 and if you haven't finished what you want to do in FS22, maybe you shouldn't buy the new one yet. Let them work out bugs, let them make sure features are working, and then buy it later, maybe once it's on sale. But don't go around saying, I'm not happy, but I'm still going to buy it. All right, so I've spent a little bit of time through this thread. Let's take another one here, because this one is talking about basically being disappointed in everything. So we've gone from kind of half-hearted optimism, we'll say, maybe at best, over to, all right, hi, I've read many happy, disappointed posts, comparisons between old games that seem modern and farming that seem old. Perhaps you don't understand or don't want to understand that there's only one problem. The engine on which farming runs is old. He cannot give more than he has given. New shaders, new textures can be added, but beyond this, nothing more can be done. Giant should buy the Unreal 5 license and create a new farming. Instead, they continue to sell us FS11, changing the name and making some adjustments. FS25 is already old before it's even released. Well, I mean, the game engine could be a problem. We'll take a look at something in a minute here. I want to go through a few more posts in this one, but I want to take a look at something. I want to compare Farming Sim to Call of Duty, as weird as that sounds, but you'll see what I'm talking about. And there is some arguments back and forth about Giant isn't a huge AAA developer, and then comparing to Manor Lord and Unreal 5 that was made by one person. And I'll say Unreal 5 has better graphics. You cannot really argue with that. It does. And it does not necessarily take a huge AAA developer anymore to have a game with AAA graphics. If you look at Manor Lord, if you look at, what was it? I featured it in my other game in a clip. Blades of something or another, I think. Go watch that one if you want to figure out what I'm talking about. There are very small indie games that have very amazing graphics now. It's not like it was 10 years ago. FS is the flagship. There's none who even come close. Closest was CNC, and that game would make your average PC poop itself while trying to run, while also being very basic in terms of activities, machines, maps, etc. It's funny how Giant's FS would be looking to make their mark when they already are the farming game to beat. And that kind of is a really good point, right? I mean, there's nothing that they have to compete with. Things are working for them, so why change? Don't broke what's already fixed. You can't argue with that. And then there's questioning of, is farming possible in Unreal Engine 5? Who knows? I'm not a developer. I couldn't tell you that. I will say that it might be worth looking at other game engines. It would cost a little bit more, but graphics would definitely be better. It's just, I couldn't tell you if Unreal Engine 5 or CryEngine or anything else would work. And really, it's just all arguments back and forth. They do talk about here, and I didn't bother going to find that post, but they talked about that there was one of the developers post a lengthy explanation about Unreal 5 wouldn't work in Farming Simulator. And that could be the case. I don't know. But you can't argue that Unreal has better graphics or has worse graphics, that it doesn't have better graphics. All right, so real quick, I want to take a look here at comparisons between Farming Simulator and Call of Duty, which sounds really weird, but it's partly because of the engines and partly because of release schedules. Now, Farming Simulator here, if we take a look, every Farming Simulator game that's released, and this is everything, basically, right? I don't think we've missed any of the mobiles on here, maybe one or two, I don't think so. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 once we include 24. For some reason, I am just like blanking on math here. So 2024 minus 2008, 16 years. So we're averaging 1 game per year out of Giants. And now remember, that is one developer, 1 game per year from one developer. Now, Call of Duty. Yes, Call of Duty has been running longer. I know that. I accept that. I'm not trying to argue that. This list is missing mobile, which I think there's only 2 mobiles, the Call of Duty mobile and the Warzone mobile. I want to say those are the only 2 mobile games that have released within the Call of Duty franchise. So we're talking 2003 to 2024. And I don't think Black Ops released yet, Black Ops 6. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we know it's coming out this year, so that's fine. So you're now talking, 21 years, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 21 years. So really, you're at about the same release schedule. We're basically at 1 game per year average. Maybe a little bit more with the mobile games, but oh well. Now, here's the big difference, though, is take a look at the number of different developers. We've got 6 different developers working to produce Call of Duty games. So you're now going from an average of 1 per year over 21 years, right? Hang on, let me clear this out. So if we've got, go for 23, right? Include the mobile games. Though, I don't remember who developed the mobile games. Developers TMI, Activision. So actually 2 completely different ones. So, we're going to leave that out for what we're doing right now. Let me pull my calculator back up. All right. So we are at 21 games over 21 years divided by 6 developers. Means each developer is only making on average 3.5 games a year. Now, it doesn't quite work out that way by the way that stuff is spaced out, especially since Infinity Ward is, really in charge of a good majority of them. But you're still talking that after the first couple, you're getting at least a couple games in between Infinity Ward's launches even. So that gives them a little bit more time. Now, if the same thing were to happen with Farm Sim, which will never happen since it's all done in-house, you're talking you've got more time to put some more innovation in between games. And the reason I wanted to look at Call of Duty is we all know, or if you follow Call of Duty or FPS games at all, there really hasn't been much of any innovation in the last few of them. They've all been pretty darn similar, just kind of reskinned in different ways sort of thing. So, it's kind of the same thing that's happening to Farming Simulator. And it kind of goes the same way, right? When you're initially starting to develop more and more customer base, you have the most innovation. Then as you start getting all those diehard customers that are going to buy the game no matter what, and you're selling more and more, well, you get less innovation going through because you don't need it. And then when something doesn't sell quite as well, you're going to start shying away from changing things. World at War, if I remember right, sold nowhere near as well as Modern Warfare or Modern Warfare 2. It was kind of a flop by Call of Duty standards because everyone kind of disliked going back to that World War II environment. Then if we take a look, when's the next time we have a World War II Call of Duty? That's not until almost a decade later. Everything else was still essentially modern. Yes, you've got Vietnam era and Black Ops, and still we're talking really the difference when it comes to an FPS between Vietnam and modern is not that big. You know, it's just that issue of there's no more need for innovation, and that's probably where Farming Simulator's at this point too. All right, so second to last thing on this video here, let's take a look through some of the Reddit posts about FS22. We again have a few people here and there that are excited about things that we really haven't seen much on, being like the ground formation and being excited to see gameplay footage. Few days, hold on. In the Farm Sim Show video, Giant said that there was going to be a stream for everyone that couldn't make it to FarmCom showing gameplay footage, that it was supposed to be announced within a couple days. It's been a few days since then. I'm kind of wondering if that stream is only for Giant's partners and they won't be able to talk about it, especially because that's getting released before FarmCon, where they want to really release gameplay footage. So I'm really guessing that that is not going to be available to the public, which sucks. Giant should really be more open in order to try and push some more excitement towards Farming Simulator 25 here. Farm Runner mod would be unreal. Yeah, you know, that's the thing is, really, if Farming Simulator, if Giants really wanted to make the ultimate farm simulator, basically you're looking at combining a handful of different games. I would love to see it. I truly don't know if it's possible. I would really love to see it. But if you had, you know, Mud Runner combined with Farming Simulator, with your logging, like Logging Simulator or Farming Simulator, with Demolition Simulator, with Construction Simulator, with Dealer Simulator, with ATS, American Trucking Simulator, throw in maps where you can then take your grain and drive it across country. Why not? That would be fantastic. The only thing is, you're now talking about combining multiple large games into one. Either this would be a game that would completely destroy most people's hard drives and fill it completely up, or it's just not possible. Who knows? As long as ground deformation is adjustable or more towards how Farm or Dynasty, I don't want to be able to sync a Cat 745C to the axles like Mud Runner, Snow Runner. I'm happy. I can't really disagree, but I don't think it'll be quite like Mud Runner. I can't imagine that they're doing quite to that point. I'm super excited. Give me more crops, impactful weather, sexier graphics. I'm good. Are the graphics really that much better? We'll take a look at the end here. At the very end of the video, we're going to play a little game, and we'll see if you can figure out which clip is from which game. Okay, FS19 4.0. That's a lot of what's been going on Reddit too, especially is FS19 3.0, 4.0, whatever. Can't entirely argue. I mean, there's not a huge difference between graphics, but there is a difference, and there's definitely some difference between gameplay, for better or worse. All right, community has been cooked. Honestly, people have been asking for features that aren't possible and have nothing to do with farming. Make no sense in a game already exists in a different format, or would fundamentally kick over the fact that the game is an E for everyone, PEGI 3 game. But it doesn't have to be E for everyone. Or for that matter, Giants could come out with two versions, make an E version and a teen version that has animal butchering and things in it. Then they throw a tantrum about it and insult the devs and talk about how greedy Giants must be and how they can't believe Giants is going to charge them for whatever new thing, but they're still around in the community and either never actually paid for the game or have been paying for all the game updates they said were terrible. Exactly. If you want to show Giants you don't want it, don't buy it. Fight with your wallets. The only way we can fight on anything is fight with our wallet as a consumer. No video is going to change a company's mind. No comments, complaints, none of it. The only thing that's going to change their mind is impact on the bottom line. And that's not me saying you shouldn't buy FS25. If you like the game, buy it. If the gameplay footage looks like great and it comes out, buy it. If you just want it, buy it. On the other hand, there have been requests in variant sense of the game, proper working AI helpers. Now only courseplay helps since vanilla helpers are useless. I kind of agree. If you play with courseplay on PC, it's a completely different experience than console play or non-course play. The maps that you can play on with courseplay are far better because you can't really play on maps that have odd-shaped fields with helpers on base game. They don't work. If you do it on courseplay, they run the field just fine. Proper terraforming we have now. There are mods for it. Again, it's PC only. Like, if they incorporated that into base game, I think it would be phenomenal. And it is possible because it was done in a mod. Ability to remove any object from my land. Yes, I agree. I think that's more of a Giants decision than it is any sort of issue. It's how they made their maps, I'm guessing, because you have DLC maps, or not DLC maps, you have modded maps where sometimes you can remove stuff, sometimes you can't remove stuff, sometimes they update it so that you can delete things that you couldn't before. I think it has to do with the way they make the map and the way their map builder works, if that makes sense to you. I think those are reasonable. If not possible, then only Giant Engine is garbage. Well, I wouldn't say Giant's Engine is garbage. I do think it is behind. I don't think it's garbage. I mean, if it was garbage, then no one would like any of the Farming Simulator games. I'd like better AI through the advantage of Courseplay, separate and open source, so I can both contribute it to it and the devs can experiment with interesting new ideas and features without being pressure of an official feature of the game. The problem is console. If it's not officially in the game, it's not available on console, and you leave out a ton of players. I could be wrong on this, but I would have sworn that typically console actually sells more than PC games on most games. Console is a lot more available than a gaming PC is. And I won't say Farming Simulator takes a very heavy gaming PC, but even still, let me see if we can look that up real fast, and maybe I'll end up cutting this out of the video. If it's still in, it's probably because I found something. Well, there we go. That's the opposite of what I've said. Console gaming market sales amounted to 28.6 billion compared to 42.9 billion generated worldwide by PC market. So console revenue is higher than PC over the past few years, according to Newzoo a year ago. It's probably right here. PC and console markets are having the best year to date. PC and console games will generate 95 billion combined. This was last year. Global games market. Here we go. Console games, 56.1 billion. Downloaded PC, 37 billion. Browser PC, yeah, so console overtook PC sales. So you do sell more in general, not necessarily Farming Simulator, because I don't have those stats. I don't know their stats on that. But console games are selling more than PC games are per last year. Mobile games outsells everything, and if you didn't know that, yeah, mobile games is a huge business, but that is mainly because of games where it's all pay to win on mobile and 10 cents games and things like that. I can't imagine that Farming Simulators, Farming Simulator 23, their mobile game, I can't imagine that outsells 22 or 25. I could be wrong, but it's kind of a different market on mobile games. And part of it is mobile games gets completely flooded because it's really easy for people to make mobile games compared to console or PC games. What else are we seeing on Reddit real quick here? Because this video is getting to be much longer than I intended it to. I don't understand why you hate FS25 looking out for screenshots. You always wanted dirt physics, and we get it in FS25. Giants confirmed ground deformation. Just screenshots are from early stage of the game. We get more plants than only rice and spinach, and more animals than just buffalo. Why do you dislike it? So ground physics, though, we don't really know to the extent of what ground deformation is, and the screenshots don't show that at all, which is the big question. Same old song happens every time new FS game's on the way. People want specific things, specific brands, not seeing it. The Giants is a small, despite its name, company that can't redo the engine of the game. Graphics in 3 years in development. Giants isn't that small of a company. They are a small company, but remember, they are in 3 countries. It's confirmed that there's at least 92 people in the company because that's what's on LinkedIn. But it's somewhere between 50 to 200 according to LinkedIn as well. So we don't really know exactly how small Giants is, but trust me, I've worked in small companies, and 90 people I wouldn't count as being small. Now, you are talking that's not that many developers, and you're not going to have all of your developers set to making the new game until you've finished all of your yearly bundle stuff. You know, once the year 2 bundle came out for Farming Simulator 22, then everyone could go over to the new game. But until that, you still had to have people working on that. I mean, it is what it is. You know, you've got indie games that come out with much less, but they're not necessarily as coding intensive as Farming Simulator probably is. Now, at the same point, how much they've changed year to year and engine to engine, I don't know. That's the other thing I wanted to bring up when it was comparing to Call of Duty is the engines. So in what I say, it was 13 years. Is that what we're at? Something like that. We've gone through 10 iterations of the game engine. Call of Duty has gone through a lot less. So Call of Duty's engine right now is on 9. And not even every game used the Infinity Ward engine, the IW engine. So they are updating the Giants engine more. It's just that they seem to be doing small changes as opposed to big changes like we all want. All right, I think that's enough going through everything. I mean, I was just kind of interested to see what other people were talking about. And it seems like it seems like the minority of people are super excited. I know when we look at most of the content creators, most of the Giants partners, they're all, you know, thrilled as could be, but that's kind of their job. They're partnered with Giants, so Giants wants them pushing FS25. It's the way they market, right? If every single YouTuber out there that played Farming Simulator said, oh, I don't know, this looks terrible, I don't want it, Giants isn't going to be happy with any of them because people aren't going to be as excited. If they can get more people excited, it's way better for Giants. So I'm on the edge of the fence. I don't know. I'm not Giants partnered yet. I can still be a little bit more independent. I'd be completely fine with FS22 being 2 more years out that we play FS22 before there's another farm sim. Especially if there was more content, especially if there was more good content. But, you know, that's not what's happening, where you're getting FS25. And yes, graphics do look a little bit better. So, speaking of that, we're going to play a little game. And that's going to be the end of this video. I promise. I know this has been a long one. Thank you for sticking through all the way to the end if you have. But I'm going to throw up. I'm not going to throw up. I'm going to put all of the Farming Simulator release screenshots from a few versions on screen. I'm going to cut the bottoms off of them so that you don't know which version it's from. And I'll stick up numbers so that each screenshot is numbered. The little game we're going to play, go ahead and post a comment of which game you think which number is from. And then in couple days, a week, I'll stick up the answers because I think it's going to be interesting, and I think it's interesting to see a little bit more of really where all of the changes in graphics actually happened, how they actually happened, because to be honest, the last few versions, there's not a ton difference, but there is some difference. And some people, especially if you haven't been around as long in the Farming Simulator series like I haven't. I mean, I really only started playing with FS22 here. I didn't see 19, I didn't see 17, but looking at some of the release screenshots that they came out with, it's interesting. So I'll get those up. And everybody have a great day. Happy gaming. If you did stick around this long, please hit that subscribe button down at the bottom. Hit the like button if you can, if you liked it. And everyone have a fantastic day.